Hey Torino's, if you can't tell, this was originally a 1984 Honda Z50R, but it is now what I would say the definition of janky. The rear shock absorber has never had a nut on it for years, but you know, it doesn't fall off. The fuel tank had holes rusted through it, so I temporarily put this little square fuel tank on it, and it has been on there for years with zip ties. The front wheel died, and I'll show you that. So my son was riding the mini bike, and he noticed the front wheel looked funny. And well, there's your problem. The rim has literally rusted apart from where the bolts hold it together. That's the tube in there. And I had this other wheel, which is a little bigger than the original, from a yard sale I'd picked up years ago. And my son made some bushings for it and just made it work. But of course now there is no front brake. But you know, it's super reliable and it just keeps running. And the kids have had fun with it for a long, long time. So I guess it just kind of goes to prove Hondas never die. Right?
Yep.
Hey Torino's, another little welding project. This wheel came from a Harbor Freight hand cart or dolly, and the hub has broken off. At first I thought it wasn't welded on both sides, and it should have been, but I realized it's a split rim, so it's only welded to one side and it just passes through the other. As you can see, it's very thin metal. It's a very weak design. Typically, you know, you have a heavier piece of metal that the hub is welded to, and that goes through here, and then the bolts pass through that, and that makes it strong. So of course this was a much cheaper way to do it, and of course it didn't hold up very well at all. So we'll have to add some more weld, and hopefully it'll stay together. Alright, so I ground off the paint where I plan to do the welding, and a little bit on the back side of the rim there for the ground, and hopefully it welds pretty good. And here's an example of proper welding with the right angle between the gun and the workpiece. The weld turned out beautifully. In other places where the angle was not good, when I was kind of just pointing straight at it, it was much harder to lay the bead down very well. And you know, I'm not a professional. I'm not charging anything for this repair. But on the back side, you can also see where you had really good penetration and where you don't. So, you know, as with many other things in life, position is everything. Alright, well, since I had the welder out to fix that wheel, I decided to weld the broken tip off of this 3-jaw puller. This is the New Britain from the Canton tool haul. Alright, well, the weld seemed to go pretty well. Seems like there's plenty on there to reprofile down into a hook. So, we'll see. Alright, Torino's, remember the broken jaw from the New Britain 3-jaw puller? Put some weld on it, and I've been grinding and filing, and you can see my profile's still pretty meaty. So I'm going to have to take some more off, but it's getting there. Alright, it's about done. I've been doing some final shaping with the file, and it turned out pretty good, I think. You can kind of see the point where here you go. Kind of see where the material changes from the original to the weld, with this little divot in there. But I think it'll be alright. So, huzzah for having a welder! Alright, final look. It's kind of hard to hold them together, but that'll do. Alright? Hey Torino's, what the heck are we looking at here? Well, this is one of the proper sized wheels that's supposed to be on the Odyssey. But this wheel had a faulty tube, and we could not get the tire off the rim in order to fix the tube. I even took it to a tire shop so they could try to push it off with their tire machine, and they still couldn't get it to move. So these rims must be pretty rusty on the inside, but you can see there's almost no taper to them, so it would be very difficult to get the tire to slide on the rim. And I wasn't sure what we were going to do about it. I had visions of dunking the whole wheel in evaporust, thinking that if it ate away the rust from the inside of the rim, that maybe then we can get the tire to slide off. But it has been a while, and my son gave up on waiting for that, and he came up with this, I think, brilliant solution. He has, because it is a split rim, where you can unbolt it and the two halves will come apart, one side is strapped to the tree, the other side is strapped to a winch, which is attached to his shop, so he could crank it and pull it apart and actually make a hole big enough to reach in and get the tube out. And there's the tube patched in two places, one there and one there, and we're gonna get it back together. Well, my son's gonna get it back together because this is all him, so he can get the Odyssey back running with the right size wheels. Brilliant. Hey Torino's, got a little project this evening. I got this great old jack stand. It used to belong to my uncle, but look at the damage. I know what you're thinking. What could possibly cause that? Look at the gouge. Well, this will give you a clue. Lawnmower blades aren't supposed to look like that one. It's quite bent. It's supposed to look like that. And the one down there as well is not in the right shape. And the this little baffle or whatever here has also become broken off here, this bracket. So I have to bust out the welder, fix it, and replace the blades. Luckily, I have a spare set. Always something. The middle blade is being difficult. My son's fancy Milwaukee impact driver got the outer two off, but I always use the big breaker bar and a pipe, and it looks like that's what we have to do for the middle one. Alright, have at it. Watch your knuckles. Huzzah! How long was that with the pipe? 3 feet?
Something like that.
Leverage wins again. Alright, well, it's not a super pretty weld, but it will definitely stick together. And like Reggie says, that's all that matters.